Hello and welcome to this GCSE Spanish revision video. My name is Aaron and I am a Year 11 GCSE student as well as an entrepreneur on the side. In today's video we're going to be going through the AQA writing paper for the year 2021 I believe. And I'm going to take you through. This first section is going to be focusing on the 16-mark question. The next section is going to be looking at this more heavier weighted response, which is the 32-mark question. And then a separate video will be going over the translation the translation section for this paper as well. We are going to be having a separate video, as I said, for the for the translation. We are also going to be having a separate video looking at the mark scheme for the higher writing, because this is for the higher paper. So, first thing to notice is that this actual choice is for question number 2. I will also say my printer is being really annoying recently, so you're going to have to excuse the fact that my paper looks absolutely awful. So we are going to be moving on with choice number 2. So this is the first question and I've chosen number 2. You can obviously get these on the AQA's website. I got them from a website called Revision World. They are a brilliant website if you want to have a look for the different past papers for each exam board. So we're going to get straight into it. Now, normally, you know, I absolutely love my highlighters. So we are going to be just using pen this time because no one's got time for highlighters. At the moment, I will say, highlighters usually make everything better, but I find the writing exam can be quite stressful, especially for the AQA, because there's a lot of writing tasks in there. So we're going to move on and we're just going to get straight stuck into it. So let's have a look at the first thing. First thing we want to look at is the theme. So we're looking at local, national, international and global areas of interest. And the question or the prompt is saying, La familia de tu amigo español, Hugo, ha comprado una casa en el campo para llevar una vida más sana. Escríbele un email. Right, let's stop there. Let's have a look at what we've been told. So, la familia de tu amigo español, the family of your Spanish friend, Hugo, his name, he comprado. So, comprado, comprar, just to buy. And it's been in the ado form. So we're looking at it from a the perfect tense. And because it's got that a there, we can say that they have bought. So they have bought it. Una casa en el campo para llevar una vida más sana. So they've bought a house. So el campo, don't be fooled, it's not a camp. El campo usually means somewhere like around the green areas. And that would make sense as well, because green areas to live a healthier life, or a healthier life basically, or a better life, because sana is the verb to be healthy. And it's asking us to write an email. So they'll either tell you email or they'll say something like correos electrónicos, which is also the word for email. Let's have a look at this section here. And what I'm actually going to do is I am going to split these bullet points up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It says, menciona tu opinión sobre tu casa. Number 2, ¿qué hiciste la última vez que visitaste un sitio interesante en tu región? ¿Qué te gusta hacer para llevar una vida sana? And the final one, ¿dónde vas a vivir en el futuro? Right, let's look at those 4 points. And I'm not gonna do the actual writing on the paper again because I was running short on paper and my printer decided to be annoying. So I'm actually gonna be writing my responses on my lined paper instead. But I'm gonna use this for my planning. So if I zoom in a little bit so you guys can see, that did nothing. Zoom in a little bit more. Check that, perfect. I'm gonna split the bullet points up. So, tu opinión sobre tu casa. So, my opinion. Opinion being a cognate, obviously. About my house. Number 2, ¿qué hiciste? So, hiciste is in the past. So I'm going to write that as a little prompt to myself. is the past, which means I want to be using the past tense. I'm not going to be repeating hiciste in my written answer because that means you did. So I'm going to be looking for the past tense verbs, and I'm going to get into that once I understand the question a little bit more. And it says la última vez, so the last time I visited a site of interest or an interesting site in my region. Last time I visited in my area. I'm going to say area, even though the word for area is barrio. It makes a bit more sense. So if I'm talking about things what I did the last time I visited a place of interest, I could say I visited the museum. So I'm going to use verbs like visitar, and I'm going to conjugate that to visite, because adding the e on the end makes it the past ed tense. I'm going to say things like, what else could I say? Jugar. Again, adding an e on the end, e with an accent. And we'll leave it at that for now. I'm sure things will come to my mind as we get on with the actual writing part. Going to look at number 3. And number 3 says, ¿Qué te gusta hacer para llevar una vida sana? So what would you like? What do you like doing to live a healthy life? So that's present. Again, I'm going to make that very obvious. You'll notice that I was about to say, what would you like to do to live in live a healthy lifestyle? But if it was what would you like, it would be que te gustaría. Because it's gusta, it's talking about the moment. So what would you like to do currently? Or what do you like doing currently to live a healthy lifestyle? Now, final one, ¿Dónde vas a vivir en el futuro? So, vas is our future tense, and ¿dónde is where. So, where are you going to live in the future? I can say, where live future. Again, I obviously don't script out each of the questions. I just get the key bits in there. So when I'm actually writing my answer, you can always ask for paper and write this down on a piece of paper and transfer the answer over, which is obviously what I expect you to do because this is what the examiners mark. So, another important thing to point out is this says, escribe aproximadamente 90 palabras en español. So we're writing about 90 words. And then we have to respond to all the aspects of the question, which is the bullet points that we have been given. So let's start scripting, or like writing down general bullet points. Now, what I would say would be that a useful thing to do was on a piece of paper, answer one of the questions, like number them, answer the questions, and then go back onto this piece of paper, which is what you've been expected to write in the exam for the examiners to mark. Remove the numbers and put connectives in instead, which is what I usually recommend doing. So we're going to have a go at doing this together. Let's start with point number 1. So point number 1, tu opinión sobre tu casa. So my opinion on my house. Right, let's talk a little bit about things that I could use. So I could say that my house is big. I could say that my house has... my house is new, I suppose. I could say that it's in a nice neighborhood. So I'm going to start off by using a sort of what we call something that hits all different tenses and different things, because you're looking for your past, your opinions, your reasoning, your future tense, your present tense. So I'm going to use que yo sepa, which basically means, as far as I know, diría que me encanta mi casa. So I've given an opinion there, and I've given just a basic phrase to say what I love, rather, because it's obviously me encanta. Why? Let's move on to our why reason. So, diría que me encanta mi casa. Mi casa es grande y es en una ciudad. What can I say? Ciudad bonito. Bonita que ciudad is female. Or feminine, not female. Bonita. Now, it doesn't look like a lot, but really you have actually answered the first question, because it says, what's your opinion on the house? You said that, well, I love it. I think it's big and it's in a nice city. So there's your first point instantly being given to you. Let's move on to the second one. It says, ¿Qué hiciste la última vez que visitaste un sitio interesante en tu región? Where have I gone? I have gone to el museo. So I'm gonna talk about the museum. So what can I use as a time phrase? I can use recientemente. Again, I'm going to come back to my conjugated visite. So, visite el museo en mi barrio. Then I'm going to get stuck in with my opinion on something. So I'm going to say, siempre me ha gustado. So this one, siempre me ha gustado, is a really good phrase to use because it's a form of the perfect tense, but it's also talking about what you did in the past, because you've always been doing it. So I've always liked visitar el museo. So don't forget, because I'm using visitar, it doesn't just mean to visit, it means visiting as well, the museum. And I'm going to use dado que. I'm going to say that I like history. So I've always liked history. So el museo, dado que ofrece la posibilidad de aprender sobre. So sobre is just the general word for about. Sobre la historia de, and I'm going to say Inglaterra because I'm going to presume that this is obviously based in England. So I've answered where I've been, but I haven't actually directly answered what I did. So what can I say I did at the museum? I saw monuments, I could say. Cuando visité, when I visited el museo. And then I'm gonna go back to another past tense verb. So I could use the verb mirar, for example. So if I do just a little note here to make sure that I get the conjugation right. So mirar, chop off the AR, mire. Mire muchos monumentos. I'm pretty sure N is supposed to have an accent, but I'm going to leave that just in case. Mire muchos monumentos. Y diría que I'm going to say lo pase bomba. So, la pase bomba is like a idiomatic expression to say I had a great time. And I'm actually going to include a negative in this one as well. So I'm going to say, no obstante, nadie ignora que, which which means everyone knows that. No obstante, nadie ignora que. And I'm going to again use another idiomatic expression. I'm going to say nadie ignora que visitar el museo podría costar un ojo de la cara. So that means it could cost an arm and a leg, or if you're translating it directly from the Spanish, you're saying it costs an eye from your face. Now, let's move on to number 3. So you'll see the general pattern before I move on to 3 is that the paragraphs tend to get, what happens is they start off really small, then they get bigger, stay bigger, possibly stay the same or drop down a little bit in terms of length. Number 3 is ¿Qué te gusta hacer para llevar una vida sana? So let's talk about what we normally do to keep healthy, or what we do to keep a healthy life. So I'm going to start off again with a time phrase. I'm going to say en este momento. En este momento. Suelo. So suelo, again, if you are in the speaking exam or the writing exam, the verb, I'm actually going to do it here. Suelo, followed by an infinitive. So any verb that ends in AR, ER, IR will save you, because suelo is like I usually do something, instead of like having to conjugate it, or if you are using the past tense, so I used to, instead of having to translate it to like aber or ia, I'm gonna do solia plus the infinitive. So if I had solia solia llevar, I usually wear, I could also put solia llevar, which means I used to wear. Just a little note for that. So en este momento suelo, I'm going to talk about food. Comer la comida sana. Y diría que, and again, I'm going to use sort of one that ticks all of the boxes for the different tenses. Siempre he pensado que la comida sana ofrece la... Have I said posibilidad before? Yes, I have. I'm going to change this to oportunidad. De ser feliz. I don't know why healthy food would make you happy, but that's just a general example of what you could do. So now we've got a little bit about food. I'm actually going to mention something else as well, because I don't want to leave it just as that. I'm going to throw in a connective. Además, intento. So I intend, or I try. Intento hacer. I can never spell ejercicio. That's awful. Ejercicio. Intento hacer ejercicio con mi familia. And I'm going to leave it at that. Actually, no, I'm not going to leave it at that. I'm going to say puesto que es una buena manera de, let's say, relajarse. We've done number 3. Now we're going to move on to point number 4. And point number 4, like we've discussed, is in the future tense because of the vas. So what are you going to do? Or where are you going to live in this in this case, because we've got donde, which is a question word, and vivir, and el futuro, which kind of gives it away in the future. So we need a time phrase. And a time phrase that I really, really like is cuando sea mayor. So the sea here is really impressive because it focuses on the, sorry about that, it focuses on the conditional tense, which is a fancy way of saying the future, but it's uncertainty. So it could be, you know, when I finish, when I'm older, you know, building up on that. So building up on that, it's uncertainty. Whatever I'm going to say next, it could not happen, but I want it to happen. So cuando sea mayor, and I'm going to say voy a vivir en, where am I going to live? I'm going to live in Spain. Why not? Very on brand. Voy a vivir en España porque siempre me ha gustado. Again, I'm reusing that siempre me ha gustado. Siempre me ha gustado la cultura de España. Y diría que la comida es tan rica. And that is basically my written answer for the 60 marks done. So I'm going to go through, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to see if I can join these with connectives. Now, what I've actually done is I've already used connectives for number 2 and number 3, so I'm going to cross those out. But in between this final paragraph here, I want to connect it. So I'm going to say, let's read the question. Puesto que es una buena manera de relajarse, I'm going to say, I'm actually going to manipulate the question. I'm going to say, en el futuro, not Alf, en el futuro, cuando sea mayor, voy a vivir en España. Right, that's perfect. And that would be the writing done for this question. Okay, we've done number 3. Now we're going to move on to point number 4. And point number 4, like we've discussed, is in the future tense because of the vas. So what are you going to do? Or where are you going to live in this in this case, because we've got donde, which is a question word, and vivir, and el futuro, which kind of gives it away in the future. So we need a time phrase. And a time phrase that I really, really like is cuando sea mayor. So the sea here is really impressive because it focuses on the, sorry about that, it focuses on the conditional tense, which is a fancy way of saying the future, but it's uncertainty. So it could be, you know, when I finish, when I'm older, you know, building up on that. What? Oh, never mind. So, building up on that, it's uncertainty. Whatever I'm going to say next, it could not happen, but I want it to happen. So, cuando sea mayor, and I'm going to say, voy a vivir en, where am I going to live? I'm going to live in Spain. Why not? Very on brand. Voy a vivir en España porque siempre me ha gustado. Again, I'm reusing that siempre me ha gustado. Siempre me ha gustado la cultura de España. Y diría que la comida es tan rica. And that is basically my written answer for the 60 marks done. So I'm going to go through, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to see if I can join these with connectives. Now, what I've actually done is I've already used connectives for number 2 and number 3, so I'm going to cross those out. But in between this final paragraph here, I want to connect it. So I'm going to say, let's read the question. Puesto que es una buena manera de relajarse, I'm going to say, I'm actually going to manipulate the question. I'm going to say, en el futuro, not Alf, en el futuro, cuando sea mayor, voy a vivir en España Right, that's perfect. And that would be the writing done for this question.